Hey, the Dodgers can put all three facets of the game together. That's what happened and they won. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, Dodger fans. Welcome to Locked On Dodgers. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 local sports daily podcast network. Locked On, your team every day. This is a daily podcast covering the World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers, bringing you the smart fans' perspective on our boys in blue. You can find us wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube. All you got to do is search for Locked On Dodgers. You can become an everydayer by listening or watching every day. You can make that easier by subscribing and get notified when our episodes are ready or when we're going live. If this is your first time listening or watching, welcome. I'm Vince Samperio. That's Jeff Snyder. And we've been doing Locked On Dodgers since 2019. We've been covering the team in our own ways a lot longer than that. And we've been fans of the team even longer than that. And today, Jeff, the Dodgers won. So it's one of those episodes that are a little bit more fun than when they don't win. And we're going to talk about Dustin May because his performance was exactly what the Dodgers needed. Then we're going to talk about Teoscar Hernandez because his presence in the lineup and the way he can do things that against good pitchers helps out the Dodgers. And then we're going to talk about everyone's favorite player, Michael Conforto, and maybe why the Dodgers still are hanging on there in terms of letting him still play baseball for the Dodgers. So let's start with Dustin May because he outdueled Corbin Burnes. He went one inning less, but allowed less runs, had the same amount of strikeouts. And for what we talked about with May, we don't know. We know for sure May's going to give you 5 innings, most of the time 6 innings. We just aren't sure if it's going to be with 0 to 1 runs or if it's going to be with 4 or 5 runs. And we got the 0 to 1 runs on this day.
Yeah, we talked yesterday at the end of the show about how we really had no idea what to expect from Dustin May today. On paper, Dustin May against Corbin Burnes is a mismatch. Obviously, I do believe the Dodgers have a better lineup than the DBacks, and so that offsets some of that. But the DBacks also have a very good offensive lineup. And so this one, I was nervous about this one. And the great version of Dustin May showed up. Like it was the homer to Marte wasn't a terrible pitch. It was probably May's worst pitch of the game. Actually, there was another one that the one that Gabby Moreno hit that hard one hopper at Muncie. They were a little bit lucky that one didn't end up in the seats. But other than that, I mean, it was a really, really well pitched game by May. The sweeper was sweeping. The fastball had movement. The two-seamer had that running movement that, you know, back before Dustin May got hurt, he was a pitching ninja favorite for some of this movement, you know, made Manny Machado look ridiculous a couple times. Obviously, the velocity isn't up there at 99, 100 miles an hour anymore. But with that kind of movement, 95, 96, I think I saw one hit 97 tonight. You can still get plenty done that way. And so everything was working for May tonight, including the command. Like he got a lot of swing and miss on pitches out of the zone because it was close enough to the zone that he was getting the swings. It was a really, really fun game to watch, especially like totally different than Yamamoto, different arsenal and everything. But to see them back-to-back nights was a lot of fun.
It was, yeah, I mean, we've seen May at his best this year, and that was right on par, if not the best that we've seen him so far. 14 swings and misses, 5 on the sweeper, which was when Dustin May is going good. Obviously, command is there, just like we talked about with Yamamoto yesterday, but it's also the effectiveness of the sweeper because even with all the movement, you know, if you're not putting it where you want and you don't have anything to play off of it, you know, guys can start sitting a little bit and get to it. And when we have seen Dustin May struggle, it's been because of walks and because of home runs and getting hit hard. And when he has that sweeper going even though like it doesn't have to be the prettiest pitch in the world, it just has to have a little bit more and go the opposite way of his other pitches. And that's what this one did. And this one, it was on today. And, you know, for May, who's last couple times out, you know, started off pretty strong in the season, then had a little bit of a rough patch, not terrible, just not great. And then now we get this Dustin May. If, you know, it's not always guaranteed we're going to see this Dustin May, but when we do get to see it, especially when it comes at a time when Dodgers need good pitching, it was very fun.
Yeah, and it was also fun to win a series against a division rival when the second and third place teams both lost today. So now suddenly, as frustrating as the Dodgers have been lately, they actually have their biggest division lead of the season right now. They're up by 2 games on, right? I think it's 2 games on the Giants and 2.5 on the Padres.
Yeah.
And before today, their biggest lead was a game and a half for a couple days at the end of April, beginning of May. This is their biggest lead. And obviously it's going to get put to the test because now they go and face the Mets and the Guardians and the Yankees and the Mets again. Got some tough games coming up. But seeing Dustin May pitch like this, when he is one of the biggest question marks in the rotation right now, we know what we're going to get from Yamamoto. I think you and I are both relatively confident in Gonsolin, somewhat optimistic about Kershaw at least being better than last time out. And unfortunately, Knack isn't so much a question mark as we don't like the answer. But Dustin May is a key part of this rotation that him being good like this could totally change the outlook of what this rotation looks like and what the bullpen looks like, because getting through 6 innings, it was a bummer that he ran into that trouble in the 6th because he was on pace to get into the 7th at least. And, but
88 pitchers, they could have pushed him, but at that point,
yeah, he was pitching on just regular rest, which I was joking before the game in Clint's Discord server that regular rest is short rest by 2025 Dodger standards, really short rest in some ways. But, they could have pushed him, but they had the game plan. And Lou Trivino, I guess, is just going to maybe he is this year's Ryan Brazier or Evan Phillips or something.
Yeah, we talked about who's that right-hander right now for the Dodgers, and Ben Casparius had, thrown a lot of pitches a few days ago. Then he pitched yesterday. We probably weren't going to see him today. Honestly, when they pulled Jack Dreyer, I don't know if they had I don't remember. I didn't have the sound on, so I didn't know if they said who was warming up at that point. But I was like, wait, who are they bringing in? Because we don't have, I hope it's not Luis Garcia. Then Trivino comes out and he got the job done. And that's what we said with this, kind of like Miguel Rojas getting the hit that started the rally. It's a coin flip, essentially, with some of these guys coming out of the pen. But sometimes that coin goes the way you want.
Yeah, 50-50 ain't that bad of odds. If somebody's batting 500, you feel pretty good about their chances to get a hit. So it's obviously this is what 2-3 appearances now for Trivino with the Dodgers, just a couple. So we'll see. But so far, I mean, his ERA with the Dodgers is pretty darn good. He has pitched well, and so I'm not ready to crown him yet, but I am definitely happy with his performance tonight. It was much needed. And then Tanner Scott said, hey, can I get back on that horse and show you guys, remind you that now it's what, 17 of his last 19 appearances are scoreless appearances. Just a couple blips.
Yeah, it was, when you talk about the night the Dodgers need, or the games the Dodgers need right now, this is it. It's strong starting pitching, hopefully a little bit more on offense, but enough on offense against, an ace, the other team's ace, and the bullpen to come through. And the bullpen came through, even Jack Dreyer, who didn't get through his inning, the balls he gave up weren't hard hit, just a little bit of bad luck there, but Trivino came in, cleaned it up, and Tanner Scott got the job done on a back-to-back when he went 2 innings or almost 2 innings the night before. It's going to take a collective effort. Having the day off on Thursday definitely helped that, because I don't know if they would have done, that exact way of handling things had they not had the day off, but worked out.
Vince, I need to know if you get this joke from Mark in the chat. He says, I think Arnold Palmer was all we had left. Do you get the joke?
No.
Arnold Palmer, you know who he is, right?
I know Arnold Palmer.
Old golfer. There was also an old golfer named Lee Trivino.
Yeah,
and so that's a Lee Trivino joke for those of you who aren't 1,000 years old.
Okay.
So
he was in Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore. Yep.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah.
So
all right. Well,
and he's the one who says Grizzly Adams did have a beard, isn't he?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm glad Mark's old like me, I guess.
There we go. All right. Teoscar Hernandez had the big home run for the Dodgers. It hasn't been long that he's been back in the Dodger lineup, but he wasn't out that long either. But he's a big part of this lineup, and we're going to talk about why. So make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. And with the complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. And if you need help with an order, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service. So you always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use the promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. I want to thank you for making Locked On Dodgers one of the listens of your day. First listen, last listen, third listen. We appreciate those of you that do listen, that do watch on YouTube. We appreciate those of you that are live right here. An hour earlier than we were yesterday. Yesterday's
hour and 10 minutes earlier.
Yeah, it went a little bit longer. So we appreciate those of you that are here right now. And remember, you can find us where we get podcasts and on YouTube. All right, Jeff. Teoscar Hernandez had the big 3-run home run. And if you watch this game and you watched domestic opening day for the Dodgers, it might have felt a little bit of the same because he had the big home run against the ace on that day, too, that put the Dodgers ahead. And for Teoscar Hernandez, obviously, before he got hurt, he was leading the league in RBIs. He's been, clutch for the Dodgers in a few different points, was big with runners in scoring position. But I think one of the biggest things for him in this lineup specifically is what he did here, where Corbin Burnes, Tarik Skubal, guys like that, they're not going to give you too many chances to beat them. But when you do get that chance to beat them, Teoscar seems to not miss very often.
Yeah, it's crazy what percentage of the time he capitalizes on mistakes. And Corbin Burnes made like one bad pitch tonight, and Teoscar Hernandez hit it over the wall for a 3-run homer. Obviously, the Dodgers had a couple of hits. It's not like he was perfect, but I mean, he was outstanding. And in the previous at bat against Teoscar, he had made Teoscar look terrible. He struck him out swinging, got strike 1 on a cutter, strike 2 on a slider, strike 3 on a curveball, and strikes 2 and 3 were not in the strike zone. And that is, we've talked a lot about that with Teo, shades of AJ Pollock and Yasiel Puig and a handful of guys the Dodgers have had over the years who they have this blind spot to the breaking ball 6 inches outside and low. They swing at it way too much. And Teo has gone through stretches over the year and 2 months that he's been a Dodger where he can lay off that pitch. And that's when he's at his absolute best, is when he's laying off that pitch. But we saw it in his second at bat tonight when he struck out. He wasn't laying off that pitch. And to the point where it was 1st and 2nd and 1 out with Freddie coming up. And I told my son, I said, if I was the manager, I probably wouldn't do it, but I would at least think about intentionally walking Freddie, because I really like Freddie's chances against Burnes a lot more than I like Teo's chances against Burnes. And then Freddie strikes out, and then Teo hits a 3-run homer. And my son, he's 13 years old. He turns to me and says, intentionally walk that, Dad. So, as only a teenage boy can. And again, I wouldn't have walked it, but it would have crossed my mind. But what we saw after Freddie struck out, I said out loud, come on, Burnes, please make a mistake, because that's all you need. And the slider that Burnes got strike 2 on in Teo's second at bat, same velocity, even better movement, 2 inches more vertical drop and 2 inches more induced vertical break. Like, it was a little bit better pitch, the one he hit the home run on, except for location. The one in the 4th inning was low and outside. This one was on the outside part of the plate where Teo could get his arms out and hit it. And like Kike Hernandez is a great mistake hitter too. Teoscar Hernandez might be the best mistake hitter I can remember on the Dodgers. He just punishes every single mistake he sees. And I've said it before, I'm surprised every time Teo hits a home run. Not every time, but almost every time, because like, oh man, I thought he was in trouble there, but he got a mistake and he hit it. And you know what? pitchers make mistakes, even good pitchers like Corbin Burnes.
Yeah, and when you have a guy, this is why, like, when we talked about the postseason, I think last year when they had him, and or maybe even when the Dodgers signed him, it was one of those things where, yeah, he strikes out a lot, but he brings that power. And in the postseason, power is huge because a home run gets you a run. It's very hard to string together hits against good pitching. It's, not as difficult to get a mistake or hit a pitch and make it your pitch and get a run on the board right away. And, Teoscar Hernandez was better than just the power. He was a really good hitter last year for the Dodgers. This year so far, we're runners in scoring position. He's hitting 450 with a 1.327 OPS. Like, that is he going to stay 450 the whole year? I don't know, but he's got enough of a head start that it's going to be up there for a while. So
yeah, it's we've talked in the past about his ability to take a ball the other way, and that's kind of what I was hoping for. Well, at least when I was saying make a mistake, Burnes, I was like, okay, just don't get it quite far enough outside. Get it only 3 inches outside so that Teo can poke it to right field and Rojas can score and tie the game. That's what I was hoping for. I like Corbin Burnes. I didn't expect him to hang the slider like he did, but he did, and he hung it and Teo bung it. It doesn't sound as good when you use the wrong past tense, but hang it and bang it, and that's what Teo did. It was a thing of beauty, especially after earlier in that inning. Ohtani's fly ball that the crowd and Steven Nelson both steinered a little bit, and almost got out and then didn't. And Teo's like those ones to dead center. It's hard on TV to tell if he got it. Just that angle, you can't really judge the launch angle or the exit velocity. It's just coming right at you. And so it looked like a lot of balls that Teo has hit for home runs, the swing and everything. But I wasn't sure until I saw Alek Thomas keep going back. Yes, it was. It was a very exciting moment, especially with Teo. Like you said, he hadn't had a hit since he came back from the IL. He's been the Dodgers' big RBI guy most of this year. Him and Will Smith, at least. I mean, Will Smith doesn't have a ton of RBIs, but maximizes on the chances he does get. Teo has a ton of RBIs, and getting that first big hit back, hopefully that will kind of let Teo settle in and say, all right, I'm back. I'm still Teoscar Hernandez, and I can do this thing.
Yeah. The rest of the night offensively for the Dodgers, not too much there. Obviously, they hadn't scored before that, and those were the only 3 runs they put up. But when you look at it, Mookie a couple hits, that was good to see. But when you look at just how that inning unfolded, Miguel Rojas, the number 9 hitter in there, getting a spot start. He gets the base hit, infield single to kind of start that inning up. Ohtani just misses, the home run, but then you get Mookie with the hit. Like, that inning doesn't start with Rojas, and this is where you talk about the bottom of the order. You don't need them to hit 300. That would be a great world to live in, but you just need them to be, competent and have the ability to get on base every once in a while, turn that lineup over, get to the guys on top. And it's hard to beat this Dodgers lineup 3 times, 4 times. So the more chances you give them to face a guy, the better chances you have to score more runs.
Yeah, and it's one of the things we've talked about this with a few pitchers this year, how I wasn't stressing about Burnes' low pitch count, because for me, it's like, yeah, it'll be nice when they get Burnes out of the game, but also 3rd time through the order, they're going to do a little bit better. And Rojas, especially when you're leading off the inning as the 9 hitter, so big to get on base right there. Because then it does give, even if Shohei doesn't come through, it does give Mookie and Freddie and Teoscar a chance to back it up. Whereas, it's nice to get that a 2-out hit for those guys, but then you get 1 shot. And, Shohei's a great hitter, but 60% of the time he's going to get out, and that's the inning. And so when he's leading off the inning like that, absolutely huge. And the ball didn't even get out of the infield. It was very easily could have been an out. I don't know if Perdomo throws him out. If he comes up with it cleanly, it would have been close, because Rojas is not exactly fleet of foot. He could beat David Vassegh in a race, but other than that, he's not beating many people. But getting on base there was absolutely huge, because it did give the big guys several chances to get the job done. And through 2 of the 4 came through, and that's all they needed.
Yeah. So one guy not in the lineup in this game was Michael Conforto, even though there was a righty on the mound. Michael Conforto is not everyone's favorite player at the moment. We've talked about him, or we try to avoid talking about him every day because realistically we could, but we are going to talk a little bit about him today and just kind of where we think the Dodgers are on him and what they're thinking. So make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. I want to thank you for being an everydayer. If you are one, an everydayer is just someone that listens or watches every day. We appreciate those of you that are everydayers already. And if you're new here, you can easily become an everydayer. And then we'll appreciate you the same way we appreciate our everydayers. And remember, you can go beyond the podcast, come Locked On Dodgers Insider by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. You get text directly from us, keeping you up to date with the latest news and lineups and everything like that. And you also get an invite to our Discord server where you can talk with other Dodger fans throughout the day. So make sure to check that out. And Jeff, let's talk about not Jeff Conforto, Michael Conforto, because as much as we've tried to find the silver linings in him, and he has hit the ball harder recently. I mean, even in yesterday's game, he hit a ball, I think 105 or 107 at one point. It just was caught. Now with the Dodgers lineup looking really solid all around again, Conforto as the weak point is standing out a little bit more. There's people advocating for him to get DFA'd, especially after we've seen the Chris Taylor and Austin Barnes stuff. We said that probably wouldn't see anything till June, just because the Dodgers had, believed in him to give him enough to give him $17 million heading into the year, and he's been a better hitter than this his whole career. We're just around the 150 at bat mark. We're almost a week, and change going into June. And yeah, when you're the one guy that sticks out a little bit in this lineup now, the conversation tends to get to you.
Yeah, it's kind of wild that you look at Michael Conforto's Baseball Savant page. He actually has the highest average exit velocity of his career. I guess a little bit lower than his rookie year. But every other year since then, it's the highest. His percentiles, like average exit velocity, 63rd percentile. So, better than average. Barrel percentage, 58th percentile, better than average. Hard hit percentage, 66th percentile, better than average. Bat speed, 72nd percentile, better than average. But the results aren't there. And even the expected results, like his xWOBA is only 43rd percentile, meaning that even though he's hitting the ball hard, and all of us know the reason why, because a lot of those hard hit balls have gone right to the second baseman. That we've talked a lot about that launch angle issue. He does have one of the lowest average launch angles of his career. And sweet spot percentage is down from when he was a very good hitter. Like his expected batting average. Yeah, he's had some bad luck because his batting average is, what is it right now? It's 166 or something. 164. His expected batting average is 220. If Michael Conforto was hitting 220, none of us would be complaining about him because that's a lot more hits than what he's gotten. But also, 220 is still bad. And so it's kind of a mixed bag because, yeah, he's had some bad luck. He's hit the ball hard, but at the wrong angles. But also, he is performing worse than he has throughout his career. And so, which is just exacerbated by the bad luck. The interesting thing to me is that, like you mentioned, it was a righty on the mound today. And Conforto and Hae-Sung Kim both sat. And it seems to, like the top explanation for me is that the Dodgers, like all of us, recognize that Andy Pages is better in a corner outfield spot. And with Teoscar Hernandez back, like left field is Andy Pages' best spot. I think he'll play some center still, but I think they're going to look for opportunities to get Andy Pages in a corner outfield spot, whether that's a day off for Teo, a day off for Conforto. And that kind of seems like Conforto is probably the one losing most of those at bats as time goes by.
Yeah, it seems as if the Dodgers have really gone into this thinking we're going to be battling for the division maybe late into the season or later into the season than maybe initially they expected. Because we talked about it with, the decisions on Barnes and Chris Taylor. Those aren't decisions you make, or those aren't decisions they've really made before Especially with like those two specific guys. The same decisions could have been made last year, and nobody would have blinked. So I think that part of it makes it seem that way. If we start seeing Conforto get a little bit more, sitting a little bit more, then they're leaning into that. Especially right now with, like you said, we've talked about the offense, kind of needing to prop up the team right now. They can't really wait around for Conforto to figure it out. Yeah, he had the game with 3 doubles. He's hit the ball hard. There's a lot of different numbers you can look at, but realistically, he's still grounding out to second base a lot and hasn't homered since April 5th. And there are guys that are being consistently better than him offensively and defensively. So I think Conforto's fine, getting some starts there. If he starts picking it up, maybe you start putting him in more. But there's nothing wrong with Michael Conforto being a guy off the bench, especially if he does kind of figure things out or whatever it is. That could be a weapon at some point if something happens and he starts hitting.
Yeah, having more days off might make it easier to say, oh, I'm not playing today, so today in the cage in batting practice, I can just focus on getting better. I focus on one specific thing, knowing that I don't have to take any at bats tonight, or if I do, it'll be late in the game. I don't have to prepare for a game. I can just try to get better. Because since that 3 double game, 7 games, he is 3 for 24. He's batting 125 with a 443 OPS, and that's even with 3 walks. So his on base percentage is more than twice as high as his batting average at that time, and the OPS is still ridiculously low. Like, he had that brief spurt, and like I said, he's hit the ball hard sometimes. It is interesting that I saw Mark asking about the double plays. He hit into 3 double plays in the last 2 days of April. He's only hit in 1 double play in May so far. Some of that is just fewer opportunities because we still have seen ground outs to second base, but not as many. He has been getting the ball in the air a little bit better. I'm still relatively optimistic that Michael Conforto will be better than the version that we saw from, early April through mid-May. I'm relatively confident he'll be better than that. But also I think at some point the Dodgers have to look at results and say, well, we know what we're getting from Andy Pages. We know what we're getting from Teoscar Hernandez and Tommy Edman and Hae-Sung Kim and, whoever else. And say, well, you're the guy who's getting more days off, Mikey C, until you prove that you can actually go on an extended streak of hitting the ball well.
Yeah, and that's where it's at, and that's fine. Like, they were never going to all of a sudden Michael Conforto is benched, or all of a sudden Michael Conforto is DFA'd in May. Now, when we get into June, again, he's already probably going to see less at-bats than he did in May, and I still don't think he'd be on the hook for a DFA at that point, but he might be closer to it. And then if you keep going into that, it's either somebody gets called up from the minors, which, Alex Freeland would seemingly be next on deck, even though he's not necessarily one-for-one replacement for Conforto, so that might be a little bit different. But then, trade deadline, they might start looking at guys. And I know I talked about Ryan McMahon the other day, and he's also not a one-for-one switch here, but I failed to say that he's been really good in May. Ryan McMahon has. I still don't think he fits on the Dodgers roster currently, but there are going to be guys like that kind of emerge, or teams that are bad, like the Orioles are bad. I don't think they have anyone for the Dodgers, but if they did, that's a team you didn't expect. The Blue Jays are bad. Maybe I don't think they have anyone for the Dodgers in the outfield, but again, like, there's going to be teams that start separating themselves and the Dodgers can look different.
Yeah. When I guest hosted Dodgers territory with Clint the other day, because Alana was gone, one of the things we talked about was Andrew Friedman's quote from the offseason saying his goal is to not buy in July. I really do think he was mostly referring to relievers, because the reliever market in July is terrible. If there's a hitter that the Dodgers need and there's hitters available, I think they'll go out and make those moves. The nice thing is, the reason the saying that there's no such thing as a bad 1-year contract is because you can dump it. Like, the Dodgers are paying Michael Conforto his $17 million, whether he's on the team or not. It's sunk cost, and they understand that. The Dodgers, every team's front office understands sunk costs by this point. And they're going to do what's best for the team. The reason they keep trying to give Conforto chances, like I said, is the same as the reason they gave him $17 million, because he does have a history of being a good hitter. And so they're going to give him more chances to try to figure it out, not because of the money they owe him, but because of the reason they owe him that money, because he has been a good hitter in his career. And, but they're not going to wait forever. I've seen a lot of people being pessimistic, saying they're going to just let him play the whole season and give him 500 plate appearances. And it's not going to get to 500 plate appearances if he's not hitting better. Even if he does hit better, it might not get to 500 plate appearances because, we're back in the Andre Ethier, Matt Kemp, Carl Crawford, Yasiel Puig situation where the Dodgers have more outfielders than outfield spots. And somebody's going to lose playing time, and it's probably going to be the guy playing the worst.
Yeah, so that's all there is there. We'll Dodgers have the day off tomorrow. We'll see if Conforto's in the lineup on Friday. We're rooting for him because obviously we're rooting for everybody on the Dodgers. There's nobody that we're saying, oh, I wish that guy would still suck. But it's getting harder to we weren't really defending him before. We were just kind of realizing the situation, but we can't keep defending guys that don't hit or don't
at some point results matter.
Yeah,
to the extent that I defend him, it's that the underlying stuff suggests the results might come, but after a while of that, it's like, if the results still aren't coming, even with the underlying numbers, maybe it's just you, man. She's just not that into you.
Yeah. All right, Jeff, you got anything else before we get out of here?
I do not, other than say my son graduated high school today. He's a big grown up now. So, and we took pictures afterwards, and it was a bright sunny day, and I didn't have my hat on, and my beard and my hair just looked white. I looked like Santa Claus with that bright sun. Like, I didn't even recognize myself. I looked like current Jack Black. You know how Jack Black, you look at him like, wow, that dude got old and fat. Yeah, that's how I felt about me. So
yeah, Jeff has 2 high school graduates now. Wow, and he's moving up in the world.
I am old.
Yeah. All right. That's gonna do it for today's episode. Thank y'all for listening. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day. Make sure to find us for via podcast and on YouTube. All you gotta do is search for Locked On Dodgers. Becoming every day by listening or watching every day. If this is your first time listening, we appreciate you. If this is not your first time listening, we appreciate you for being back. You can also check out Locked On MLB Game Night, local analysis from all over the league. You'll probably see us on there sometimes, talking Dodgers as well as a lot of other Locked On hosts talking about their teams. Make sure to check that out wherever you get Locked On MLB's YouTube, or wherever you get podcasts. You'll be on the podcast come Locked On Dodgers Insider by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. Get text directly from us and keep up to date with the Dodgers and get invited to our Discord server. You can find us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Locked On Dodgers. Jeff's on Twitter at Snydog. I'm at Vincent91. You can DM us any questions or comments. You can also send those via email, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or via voicemail text at 323-863-5625. We're here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us. When you get in your car, if you're at home, turn to my device, play podcast, Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. Have a good one.
We'll talk to you tomorrow.